What up, what up, what up, man? Sorry for being. Let me just stop apologizing for being so late. Apparently, that's just how it's always going to be. I'm going to be late. In any case, I couldn't be more excited for this card, especially after it's like, man, these last couple UFCs has been like wandering through a desert through all the crappy matchups, uninspired booking, and just real horrible fights and decisions and all this going on. Um, I'm finally at a card that I think anybody can just get really excited about. Not just excited about, but I think this is just really significant. It's exciting. It's incredible. I like it. I like UFC 121, and I think I just have every reason to be, just real, you know, expecting great things from this card. You got a great main event right here with Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. Um, these are this is, as I said, on many people's boards or something. This new crop of heavyweight who's working its way into the elite right now. I mean, they're all just very young fighters. Just not just fighters that are very early into their careers as compared to guys like Tim Sylvia, Fedor Emelianenko, and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira and the like. They just got just a handful of fights between them. And these are definitely two guys at the top of the list. Brock and Kane. Uh, Brock's coming off a come from behind victory against Shane Carwin, where he just absorbed a hell of a lot of punishment and was able to come back and win it in the second round via submission. Just showing he added a lot to his game. You know, that's what I see in Brock Lesnar all the time. Uh, Despite his size and physicality, he's finding way more intelligent ways to use it, and it's not just being the size, being big. Being big is a lot, but just the speed, the athleticism, the endurance, and just everything in him is just of a much smaller, compared. It's a much smaller kind of agility, and just a movement that not a lot of people can deal with. I've seen guys that big, but I haven't seen guys that big move like that. And he's going up against Cain Velasquez, a guy who's an animal. He's a lot. He's a little bit smaller than Bronco, maybe a lot, but the dude's an animal. It's like I've seen him effortlessly throw guys around like Ben Rothwell. He says he has a lot of wrestling experience against guys Brock's size, and in his last fight against Antonio Nogueira, I mean, it was just a great striking clinic where he just chopped away at Nogueira's legs, peppered away with him with his punches and just knocked him out in the first round with just a very impressive display of striking. I mean, he just handled his business, took out the trash. Not calling Rodrigo trash, but just he just came in there, handled his business, walk in, walk out, throw out your pitchfork. Um, this is just something. Cain Velasquez, every time you see him fight, he just really defies expectations or something. I thought he'd have trouble with Ben Rothwell's size, but dude just threw him around. But in Brock Lesnar, even though, let me see, Ben Rothwell's of a comparable size to, Brock, he just doesn't have the same center of gravity, and he doesn't have the same grappling style, just the same wrestler strength, or let me see what they call it. I think Joe Rogan kind of stated it best when he was talking about basically, Matt Hughes or something have some kind of grappler strength, just a core power. But and I think that's what he's dealing with right now. Brock Lesnar has just incredible core power. Just and like I said, you add the speed, the athleticism, and I think those qualities right there when you take away size, because usually when you go up against a bigger guy, bigger guys or something, they're after a while they tire. Kind of like Shane Carwin when he's just pumping out, fists or something, pumping out, punches at high intensity. He has a tendency to wear down. I mean, you got to get all that blood and oxygen to those muscles. But Brock Lesnar, throughout the time I've observed him, all the way back to his wrestling career, was just how intense this guy can go in front of millions of people, performing physically strenuous activity for long periods of time for size like that. His agility or something. I think he's probably more athletic than Kane, probably just as fast as Kane. And I think his energy level. I think he can go for 25 minutes pushing Kane around. And I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. Cain's getting a lot of credit for his technical striking, but it's going to be a little bit different going against Brock because he's going up against a guy that does have an incredible reach advantage. I mean, it's not going to be like he's going against like Nogueira, because he's not going to be able to, throw kicks like he did against Nogueira, because that's going to open him up for takedowns. And he's not going to be able to punch because I think Brock has a lot more power than Cain, even though he's not as technically sound. And that's really going to bother Cain's, fist, because he was able to walk through Nogueira's punches, but if he eats the same ones from Brock, that's going to put him in some trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I just really see. It's hard for me to see anyone finishing Cain because it's never been happened. It's never happened. Never been happened. I'm ashamed of myself right now. But anyway, it's never happened before. We've seen Brock get caught, but I don't think Cain's up to that level of jiu-jitsu. And I think that Brock's just going to be able to push Cain around and just really put the pressure on him, keep him on his back. Because Cain is an animal. He's used to going forward. And I don't think he's going to be able to rush forward on Brock. I think he's going to be the pace of this fight is going to be dictated by Brock Lesnar, and where it's going to be going is going to be dictated also by Brock Lesnar. And I don't see Cain being able to have the answer for that. So I see Brock winning this one by decision. It's hard for me to see him get finished. Seeing Cain get finished. But, it's like Cain has surprised me before with his ability and the way he's improving every time he steps out. But I think he's going up against just the same kind of thing, only just a much bigger beast. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Anyway, the co-main event's going to be, Jake Shields, the Strikeforce middleweight champion. He just signed with the UFC, and he's got a big fight in his hands with Martin Kampmann, who's a top contender. And this is, it's like I said, they're hyping him off his destruction of Dan Henderson. I've never been a big Jake Shields fan because I thought he was one-dimensional. Striking was atrocious, and I didn't think he'd be able to handle it against top fighters. But he really proved me wrong when he was able to just dominate Dan Henderson and defend his crown. And if he can just take down and do that, especially after absorbing the right hand, I see him doing great things in the welterweight division in the UFC. He's taken on a very talented fighter in Martin Kampmann, a guy who's dangerous on both the ground and the striking. However, I haven't seen a whole lot of Martin from the bottom, and I think that's where he's going to be. I don't see him taking down Jake Shields. I see Shields just going for just relentless takedowns and getting Martin down his back or something. And even though Jake Shields' ground and pound has left a lot to be desired, he drops pellets down there. I think his ability to use elbows is going to add a dangerous element to his ground and pound that we haven't been able to see in Strikeforce. And I think that's going to cause the Hitman some problems. And I think that's going to allow, open up some submissions, maybe in a finish for Jake Shields. Jake Shields, despite his last two fights, is known as a finisher. And I think he'll be able to take out the Hitman in 2 rounds. Moving right along, I think there's, you got Diego Sanchez versus Paulo Thiago. That's going to be a good fight. I see Thiago winning that one. I see that kind of going like the halfway fight. Thiago is too big and strong for Diego, and his striking is going to be very dangerous too. You got Tito Ortiz and Matt Hamill. They were together on The Ultimate Fighter and training partners for a while before, Matt Hamill broke out on his own. But I see Matt Hamill taking this fight because I don't see Tito being able to take him down. I think Tito's just become way too slow and way too weak with his takedowns. He's not the same as he used to be, and he's not going to be. His body clearly cannot handle the strain. As you see the constant surgeries after fights, he just can't seem to get it back again. And I see Matt just being too dangerous on the top with his power and the striking, and I see Tito just having problems with that going forward. Altogether, I mean, this is a great card. I think from top to bottom, the preliminary card, I'm excited about that. And, I just can't wait to see this go down. And, I'll holler back at you when it's time to review it. Until then,